So the first time I went to Kansas, I'll reference Kansas, I got tired of the snow at home. And I got home and I told my wife, so I'm pulling my trap line and I'm going to Kansas. And she says, where are you going? I said, I don't know, I don't have a place to go. And I got online and I looked up deer hunt operations. And I started calling them. And I found a guy that would let me on, and that's where I went. And then when I went down south to Texas, I had to send a guy a resume. And he actually called the people I trapped on their home, had a conversation with them, and I went down and he had, I think between his place and his dad's place, maybe 30,000 acres. And I thought, what the hell am I going to do after 1 o'clock in the afternoon? You know, I mean, it just wasn't a lot of ground to start with. And I started killing, and it just has, now I'm turning down more because there's only so much one man can do. So, but it's, you gotta be able to make the commitment, and you gotta kill. You know, I mean, if you're talking about going down south, these guys want the animals gone. You know, you got to be able to go down, you got to be able to kill, you got to be able to represent yourself and do what you're saying. It's not. That's a great point. It's not a vacation. You know, when I go down, and it's every time I go down, you know, that means I'm leaving my wife at home, and she's got to do chores, and so she's doing chores in the morning. She's got to go to work, and then she gets home, she does chores at night. My ass better be working longer than hers. And so I am on the ground at 3 or 4 in the morning, and I'm working until 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And it is 100% commitment. When I'm down there, I'm running my butt into the ground. And then when I get home, I get the honey-do list.
Another quick follow-up on that. Do you do partners, or would that be hell, or?
I personally don't do partners. I just, you know what, it's just simply by myself. Yeah. I think that complicates things. And I'm pretty private about where I'm at, what I'm doing, what I've built. And for me, I'm personally not gonna partner. I'm gonna go do my own thing. And you'll find if you know, I had a friend that went down with me once, and they just don't do things like you do.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not. And me, I'm a workaholic when I'm there, and a lot of people aren't that way. You know, I mean, people say they work 8 hours a week, but you know, I look at. I think I told them one time I went down there, and I thought, I'll track my hours, see how many hours I put in a week, and it's like 120 hours a week that I'm on the ground trapping, and people don't work that hard. But that's everybody wants the secret in the bottle, and it ain't the bottle. How much time and effort are you going to put into it? And the other thing is, like, you know, we talked about it, I think it was last night we talked about it. You know, I can remember years ago when I went trapping, I had this huge pile of traps, man. They all went in the ground because you're trying to figure things out. And you're compensating with traps, and as you progress, you're doing it with less and less equipment. Now you've got extra equipment because everybody's talking about the spots, but when you know where you're putting your traps, you're driving past all that mediocre stuff, and consequently your time's used better, your catch goes up, and you're doing less work. You know, it's just things just progress as you go along.
You know, I've had guys I've trapped with, partners, and I prefer to be alone. I think a lot of guys that do what we do are alpha males and kind of are used to being by themselves. And I drove to Wyoming one time with a guy, and we're all pumped up. We're going to trap bobcats and coyotes, and we're high on life. And the whole way out there, he's smacking his lips when he's eating, and that's a pet peeve of mine. And I'm like, all right, this is day one. I can live with this. On the way back, we had an intervention. I lost my mind, and I said, "You're smacking your lips." He says to me, the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. I don't smack my lips. I just chew with my mouth open. I said, "That's true. I'm still going to kill you. Pull over." So I think it's hard to find that right mix. I know Rick traps with Mitchell Simpson for a little while, and maybe in general that works, but and I think a lot of us like to be alone.
In general, it does work, but I'd still rather trap by myself. Because like you said, there's certain things they don't operate like I do. Mitchell does. He's a good trapper, a great guy. I like working with the guy, but at the end of the day, I'd just rather go check my traps and be done with it.
That's why I like trapping with dogs. They don't talk. Do whatever you want. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have to be really careful here. My trapping partner happens to be sitting right there. And I have trapped. I love just being just me and my dog. I really do. And it's really hard to have a partner. A couple times I've trapped with other guys, but as the others said, it's just, you know, there's two different opinions. Now there's two different times of getting out of bed and two different times the day you want to quit. You want to quit putting traps in. You know, as my wife will say, you know, she knows there's very few days that I don't finish the day out without adding something new into our line. And kudos to her. I mean, she sets with me trap for weeks on end, so I'm kind of blessed there. But so if you do have a good partner, all right, it can work and it can be very efficient, especially if you're just going into a higher density area and you need to pull numbers, all right. And contrary to some people, 2 traps is better than 1. So but if you don't have a partner, then it don't make sense to set 2 traps in one spot. Yeah, I mean, but it's a whole different conversation. So, yeah, when it comes to partners, getting permission, I was kind of fortunate. In my younger years, I grew up in Wyoming and Nebraska, spent about half my time between the two. Sandhills in Nebraska, phenomenal coyote country, phenomenal soil, especially early. If you ain't trapped in sand, it's gorgeous. Yeah, it does. Then it's like concrete. But so I did have some starts out there, but you got to just do it. All right. Probably once a week, I hear that somebody tells me, "Boy, I wish I could do that." Well, you're going to just take that you're going to take that into the grave with you. All right. You just keep wishing. If you really want to do it, you want to do it that hard, you got to arrange things. You got to do things in your life to make that happen. And it's not easy. And getting out of bed early is not easy. And you trap every day. Just because I'm not putting a trap in the ground don't mean I'm not working on things during the summer. I got stuff in New York to get ready. I'll be back out in Wyoming. I'll start making, wax sand next week when I'm out in Wyoming. So you're doing something for trapping every day of the year to make it happen for the long haul.
I let Mark talk, but if you can trap coyotes with confidence and beaver, you don't have to worry about getting permission. My paid jobs are a little different, but if you went out there and you had the ability to catch coyotes, you wouldn't believe it. I'm from New York, and Kansas just opened up their doors for me because they hate coyotes. There's a prejudice out there like you wouldn't believe it. If you trap coyotes, especially, and I charge them, have at it. Have at it. What are you going to say?
I was just going to say about getting permission and I guess I've been lucky because I've been in the cattle business and the rodeo business all my life, so I have a lot of contacts that kind of comes through there. But you have to learn some of the ways of agriculture before you go jumping in places. You got to learn about pigs and cattle and different things, and you can match up. You'll get in a lot of places. If you don't match up, a lot of times you get turned down just because. I'll just ask this question.
Sorry, I didn't interrupt you. Pay attention.